if you guys are unaware, there has been this video making the rounds on TikTok. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't been taken down, but basically, the person in the video describes America as not having any unique culture of its own. Which, if you know anything about American history, that seems wrong, right? Um, but that's not the perspective this person seems to have. In fact, American history doesn't even seem to cross his mind.
If you went to public school, you were no doubt told that the United States is a melting pot. We don't have our own culture, history. We're not our own people. We're just the amalgamation of other cultures, other histories, and other people that were brought from the rest of the world and put here. And if you stir them all together, you make a metaphorical soup, and out comes the average American that built this country.
Though it is true that America is a melting pot and has many, many cultures that influence what it is today, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's actually quite a good thing. But to say that America doesn't have anything unique about it is certainly ridiculous, especially since every culture has borrowed from other cultures. And America is a pretty recent country. Uh, just to clear that up.
That couldn't be further from the truth, but just thinking about the analogy for just a second, what if we are just a cultural soup? But what if one of the ingredients is terrible? What if we take someone from a culture that is totally antithetical and incompatible with our own and we put it in the soup? That would be akin to putting a dog turd into your chili. Are you going to eat poop soup?
I agree with you, Victor. If only we could remove the turd from this soup. It's you. You're the poop. In your very unique and original preamble, which I'm sure you came up with all by yourself, you alluded to the fact that people say that America doesn't have its own culture and history. Of course we have our own history. You guys try and ban books and classes about that history. God forbid you fucking learn anything, but I digress.
This point becomes heavily ironic given the later stuff that I'm about to tell you, but let's continue first.
America doesn't have its own culture, and I know that hurts your delicate little feelings to hear me say that to you, but there isn't a uniquely American thing that you can point to that can't be traced down to one of the little ingredients in this melting pot.
Before we move along with this video, let me read off the names of a couple of states first. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Connecticut, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, New Mexico, Ohio, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wisconsin. For the record, those names are of Native American origin.
Jazz, for instance, is a uniquely American art form that comes from the black community.
So not only did he contradict himself by saying that jazz was uniquely American, but he also implied that African Americans aren't American. Jeez.
Everything, by the way, everything comes from the black community. Every word that you say that is in your vernacular comes from the black community. Ironic as that is, as you try and ban the history of how black people got here.
Never once in that video has he ever denied the method of which black people were brought over to the Americas through the slave trade, which, by the way, the Europeans started.
Maybe that's the uniquely American culture, is your fucking allergy to learning anything. Maybe that's it. I solved it.
What's nuts is that not once in that video did Native Americans ever cross his mind, though that's probably because their mere existence defeats his point. See, this is a guy that clearly thinks of America as a white person country. Let's get that out of the way. Okay? That's how he thinks about it. Sure, he did give African Americans credit for their influence, but he talked about them as if they were separate from America as a whole. Like, he doesn't see people who aren't white as truly American, which also inadvertently plays into the fact that Native Americans didn't even cross his mind at all. Tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, corn, chocolate, sweet potatoes, and turkey. Those come from Native Americans. All of that is from the indigenous culture. But if he were to mention that, that would be admitting that America does have a unique culture. See, he can't backtrack now because he's already just said this. He's already said that America does not have a unique culture. And that would mean that he can't just go back and give credit to the indigenous people now. Because he said his piece. It's one and done there, right? As he himself said, jazz is uniquely American. You know what also is? R&B, rap. Those are American too. So is bluegrass, country music. All of those are American. But you know what also is? The ranch style home, the teepee, the poncho. And you know where that all comes from? Native Americans. The Native Americans are responsible for the survival of the first colonists. They are the people that helped your ancestors survive America. In fact, one of them probably is an ancestor of yours. But you can't do so little as acknowledge that they exist because you think of America as something that didn't have any prior existence before the colonial period. In fact, with how important the Native Americans were to the colonial period, you can't even seem to acknowledge that. People like this do not see minorities as peers. They see them as tools to win an argument. That is why the specific demographic of people that proved him wrong went completely unmentioned. It's because their existence disproves his belief. Sorry for such an unusual topic, this just irked me a lot.